Another week with a minivan always makes Matt very happy. And look, I pride myself, I've said this before, in another minivan review or two in the past on Motor Illustrated's YouTube channel, where I proclaim myself the minivan queen, and I wear that badge with honor. Because, you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Only smart people like minivans and station wagons. Okay, I have an SUV and a sedan too, but anyway, point being that nothing will ever beat the minivan. I will go to my grave believing and holding on to that thought. Now, some 4 years ago already, Motor Illustrated was one of the first media, if not the first, at the time, to review the then all-new fourth generation Kia Carnival, Toyota Sienna, Honda Odyssey, and excuse me, Chrysler Pacifica. And yes, we had audio problems and all of that, but what happened in the 4 subsequent years is that I was able to review my beloved Toyota Sienna on a number of occasions, as well as drive, well, very recently a Grand Caravan and a Pacifica, as well as drive an Odyssey. But it had been 4 years since I got to drive a Carnival. And though I recall enjoying it, liking it a fair amount when we did the comparison test, I think it was back in 2021, so 25 minus 4 is 21. I can math on most occasions. It was sorely lacking. I was really needing to get behind the wheel of a Carnival. But the good thing is I think I may have waited just long enough, because this is the 2025 facelifted. 2026 is already available. I'll give you a few details on pricing. Actually, I'll tell you now. It's about $1,400 to $1,500 more MSRP from the 25 to the 26 for the same trims. There, I've done that part already. But with the arrival of the facelifted 2025 Carnival, they've added a hybrid version. Yes, finally a third, I suppose, hybrid of 4. Minivan joins the group now. The only one that remains is the Odyssey to have a different powertrain alternative option. And allow me to just say that the hybrid version of the Carnival, to put a little French twist on it, is hands down absolutely the version to get. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that is for a number of reasons. Fuel efficiency, yes, but value. But then again, most Kia vehicles are jam-packed with value. And at a starting price of just over $40,000 for a base Carnival with a non-hybrid powertrain, you're looking, give or take, at a minivan that is about $10,000 less expensive than the next competitor, give or take, which is mind-boggling. In fact, I don't quite understand why there aren't more Kia Carnivals on the road today. In fact, I can't answer that. Kia Telluride, that's why. And Sorento, that's why. But remember what I said, only smart people like minivans. Anyhow, in the following video, as I always do, we're going to do a few laps of the minivan inside and out and take it for a drive. Not sure what the order will be yet, but I can tell you in summary, in brief, it's not as efficient as the Sienna. It's a lot smoother and quieter than the Sienna, but I still think I prefer the Sienna. All right, so I gave you an idea of the base price for the regular ICE Carnival. I was about to say Sienna. But the hybrid electric model starts at $46,495. With that, you get a 12.3-inch touchscreen display, as well as a number of other features, including heated windshield, which I think maybe you can see. No, you can't see it. But that's included in there. Power side doors, as you just saw, power hatch, and a bunch of other things. Now this model, just by the surroundings, I think maybe you can guess, is the top trim SX Plus, which is really cool. It starts at $56,445. It includes the 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. I want to bring your attention to the average fuel consumption number right there. It also includes actual leather and the 7-passenger seating configuration, which includes these ottoman seats. Now, obviously, it is being used for the crew, but so you know, you can actually, as you can see, slide the seats from side to side. It also has the extra long slide, so it'll slide all the way back there. When they're out this way, they stop with this panel right here. But you do have power controls on the side right there, yes, my friends. And you have one version which will bring out the full lower seat cushion. It's quite impressive, in fact. While we're on the inside, I mean, you can see that this is the 7-passenger configuration, so there's actually room between the 2 seats on the 3rd row bench. Difficult to see that anyone would really want to sit there, but that's the advantage of the minivan. We're just going to close the door. Going to get a quick shot of the front seats, lumbar support, generally comfortable and supportive. I have to say, lack of interior storage for a minivan. As far as the Sienna and the Odyssey and the others go, or the other goes, this one, that might be one of its biggest drawbacks. As we open up the hatch, now I don't know why, but I can't get actual data, but according to the numbers that I found, this is 1138 liters behind the 3rd row. So compared to Sienna, 949. So it's a little bit deeper, bigger. I can kind of see it, like the space between the hinges and the inside of the wall here is wider than that of the Sienna. But unfortunately, I can't get the amount of space or cargo available behind the 2nd row. I don't understand why that is. But in the Sienna, you're at like 21, 29 liters. So I'm going to guess it's at least as much, if not 2,300 liters, give or take. As far as that's concerned, that's on par with the competition. Okay, so a quick roundup of exterior details. The front grille is now on spec with the remainder of the family of Kia vehicles, at least the modern ones, where you have these gigantic LED lights all the way down here. What I did discover haphazardly is that those units, those light units, are Canadian, about $4,500 a pop retail. So a mild front impact could end up costing a lot of money. And the base van comes with 17-inch wheels, but as soon as you step up to the mid-trim EX, which I'll tell you now that at $49,445 before fees is the version to get. You don't want to spend the extra money for the VIP lounge, ottoman seats, dual sunroofs and whatnot that you do get with the SX Plus. One of the things you do also get with the SX Plus is you get 19-inch wheels, also standard on the EX, but these are blacked out, and everything else, as you can see, is blacked out, which is, I don't know, it's an attractive minivan. I don't really care for the blacked out stuff, but overall, really physically, very attractive. I love getting on board a minivan. Nothing could be easier, and especially when you have kids, on the sliding doors open and close, you know they're not going to smash them into the Mercedes-Benz parked right beside and upset its owner as it walks out of the store and it sees it all happen. Okay, enough of that. Toyota Carnival, wow. The Kia Carnival has a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, which produces, I think, about 177 horsepower. But the thing is that it's not alone. It has an electric motor mated to it, and it, with the petrol engine, enables the powertrain on this vehicle combined to produce 242 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. This is a heavy van, it's like 5,000 pounds, give or take. But that was, I don't know if you could see that, but that was serious throttle application for a minivan. And I don't know if you did not hear what I did not hear, but the engine is quiet and it delivers the performance without complication, without hesitation. I will say that the 6-speed automatic transmission seems to, well, it does seem to hesitate on occasion. And I've been driving in eco drive mode. The main culprit is when you suddenly need and must have access to immediate power. There seems to be a huge confusion between the transmission, maybe even the electric motor and the petrol engine, and they all have to speak to each other, and somebody forgets what they're supposed to do. So passing maneuvers, or well, let's call them emergency decisions or last second decisions, are often met with a lot of hesitation. There is a smart drive mode and there's a sport drive mode. I've been in eco almost exclusively. And despite that, as you saw, I'm averaging 7.6, 7.7 liters per 100 kilometers. And more than 3/4 of the driving has been done in the city, which is I guess it's a downside, because Natural Resource Canada says you can average about 6.9 liters in the city per 100 kilometers, and in combined driving 7.2. So if most of my driving is done in the city and I'm averaging 7.6, 7.7, I don't know. That number could easily reach 8 liters per 100 kilometers if you're regularly loaded with stuff, or there's a box on the roof or whatnot. That would be the sole downside, I think, and the absence of all-wheel drive. Because for all of the reasons, I mean, the 6-speed automatic transmission will imperceptibly shift, and the refinement of this combination electric motor, the 1.6 and the 6-speed automatic transmission, is impressive. Now, speaking about the 6-speed automatic transmission, if you are so inclined and go into sport drive mode, you can actually shift via the paddles. The paddles themselves, in both smart and eco drive mode, manage the 4 different ranges of regenerative braking. There's almost no difference between 1, 2, and 3, but I'm going to give Kia points for that. Absolutely going to give them points for that. The other thing too, the ride quality. Wow. I'm blown away by how steady, controlled everything about the ride quality is. No compromises made to handling. For a minivan, understand, correct? But the level of comfort is huge at all times, in all situations, on the highway. Like, maybe sometimes it does get a little noisy in here, but that would be the only discomfort. Overall, the drive on this minivan, I think, best the Chrysler minivans, it effortlessly matches the Honda and the Sienna. It's I'm surprised. I'm going to say it again. The Kia Carnival Hybrid, specifically Hybrid, is a very impressive minivan. And for all the reasons that I've mentioned in this video, starting with the refined powertrain, the impressively comfortable and composed ride, and perhaps for most people, the value. The value is mind-numbing across the spectrum for both the regular Carnival, I was going to say Sedona, and the hybrid version. However, having said all of that, as far as I'm concerned, I would still pick the Sienna, though the choice would not be quite as easy. The first reason is the availability of all-wheel drive. As far as I'm concerned, again, all-wheel drive trumps almost everything. In Canada, yes, snow is becoming slightly rarer sight, but it only takes that one time when you're in the snow that you're going to be like, I'm so glad I got all-wheel drive. Second reason is fuel efficiency. There isn't a catastrophic difference between the Carnival and the Sedona. The Carnival and the Sienna. I got this. But still, imagine if this was all-wheel drive as is, it would consume even more fuel. But, and I will continue on the Sienna, Toyota needs to do something about the powertrain. Not the efficiency, but just the noise and how rough and brutish it is under normal, any driving circumstance. Because this one, where that's concerned, just destroys it.